And so I got introduced to door-to-door sales and went and did this summer program. First year I go out, sell for three months, and I make $65,000. I'm like, ooh,
what were you selling?
Pest control.
And now, Escaping the Drift, the show designed to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm John Gafford, and I have a knack for getting extraordinary achievers to drop their secrets to help you on a path to greatness. So stop drifting along, escape the drift, and it's time to start right now. Welcome back to the program, everybody. This week in studio, dude, it's one of the advantages of being in Vegas. I've said it a million times because when you have an event like right now, ClickFunnels Live is going on down at the Strip, and just bringing all the ballers in. And when the ballers roll in, it's kind of easy for us to book. Not going to lie. If we were in Topeka, Kansas, this kind of thing wouldn't happen. And today, for you live in the studio, if you are somebody that you're interested in sales, you're interested in home service businesses, you're interested in getting better, man, getting your life to the next level, I have a dude in studio today. He is a graduate, an alumnus, if you will, of Harvard University. He has multiple six-figure exits. Not 6, 7. No. 9. What am I? 9. What am I talking about? The math is wrong.
Goodness.
Yeah, no. Multiple 9 figure. Everybody just turned off. They just seriously just shut this off. Multiple 9-figure exits in the home services industry. And he's here today to share that wealth of knowledge with you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. This is Chris Lee. Chris.
What's up? Excited to be
man?
here.
Yeah, dude. Glad we could swing you through, dude.
Yeah, this is great, man. I love Vegas for the same exact reason, man. I've been able to do so many great podcasts.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And the only problem, the only challenge is like you're going to be like omnipresent everywhere in like a week and a half because I'm going to have you out. Brad's going to have you out. I mean, you're just going to be out. You could be everywhere.
Great. I love it.
Yeah. It's going to be getting like launched in the stratosphere, which is awesome. So let's start a little bit, man. Let's go back because I always like to start these things with the nature versus nurture, man.
For sure.
Like let's start there. Tell me about how did Chris Lee grow up? Or were you made? Were you crafted? Tell me that either the hero story or the villain like story. What is it?
Dude, I would definitely say made. You know, I grew up in a great household. No money. My dad was a school teacher. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. 7 kids.
7.
Yep.
Where do you rank on the?
So right in the middle. So six that were from my parents, and then we raised my cousin as well. And so, you know, we didn't have a lot, but because of it, we had very strict rules around money and how we created it and everything else in the house. Right. My dad was a very disciplined investor, believe it or not. He was able to put away half of his $65,000 a year check into investments.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with it, we had rules in the house. When you're 12, underwear and food on the table was all you got. Everything else you had to pay for.
So what was the first hustle as a kid?
So 9 years old, delivering newspapers.
Okay, solid.
Every 365 days a year, you know, had to wake up early. And so did that. I wasn't like an entrepreneur by trade at all growing up because I didn't know any better, right? Like Dad was a school teacher.
Yeah.
Like he knew the system. He knew, you know, 401k, invest as much as possible, right? Real estate was out of the picture. All these things were out of the picture. And so, but my dad, he was a football and wrestling coach at the high school. And so grew up in a very sports competitive environment.
What part of the world is this? Where
Washington State.
Washington State, okay.
Yep. I actually live about 30 minutes from where I grew up because I have like so much love for the way that I was raised that I wanted to raise my kids similarly.
Same way.
Yep. And I've moved all over. I've lived in Vegas before. I've lived in San Diego, Arkansas, North Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago. Like me and my wife have moved 14 different times over our career.
Bro, it's so funny, man, because as a kid, all I wanted to do was get out of the 8,000 person town I grew up in, right?
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was get out.
Yeah.
And now when I go somewhere that's like kitschy like that, right? Like there's a little town that I love called Franklin, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville. I love that little town.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, man, this just reminds me so much of the place I grew up. That's why I love it. I'm like, dude, I'll never move back to where I grew up. But I get it, dude. You long for that nostalgia of your youth because it was a much simpler time then, man. It was,
and it wasn't even just like the simplicity. Like I was taught to work hard, and I wanted to raise my kids on a farm. So I didn't grow up on a farm, but I grew up working on farms. So I was delivering newspapers, driving tractor, you know, working odds and ends jobs, just finding ways to make a buck. And It was when I was 18 years old. I was attending the local community college while still in high school. Saw a little ad that said, make at least $13 an hour. The little words "at least" changed my life.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody's telling me how much I can make, but they're definitely telling me how little I can make.
Yeah. But the "at least" was, so what it was an ad for Cutco knives.
Yeah. Okay.
And so cells. And I quickly realized that I had the gift of gab and the ability to go and sell products.
So let's talk about, so you went to work for Cutco Knives at 18 years old.
Yep. So, I'm between my junior and senior year. I'm old for my grade. And I go into farmhouse wife's home and I could walk out with $1,000 check and making 25% of that.
So let's talk about the training program for Cutco Knives. Because I've heard, like, when I got into sales, right? When I first got into it out of the bar business a million years ago, my buddy said, you got a choice. You can sell Kirby vacuum cleaners or you can sell cars. Either way, you'll have a PhD in 90 days. I was like, all right. But I've always heard that Cutco Knives had a great, like, sales training program. Is there anything that you learned then? Or no, you're shaking your head like no.
No, Cutco's always had a great recruiting program in my mind. And they sucked at the follow-up. Like, they teach you how to, like, go sell all your friends and family. And then there was, like, no follow-up, at least from the area where I was at, as far as, like, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And so I went through all my network, selling them all the knives I could. And then nobody told me what else next to do. And so I ended up quitting just because, like, my manager was like, no show or whatever else. But like I said, it changed my life, realizing that I could bring value to an hour rather than just trade hours for dollars.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was where it all kind of started.
So you're set. So Cutco, where do you go after that?
So graduate high school and I go on a mission for my church. Serve a 2-year mission, knocking doors for free, paying to be there.
See, the Mormon church, that's the sales, that's the sales training, dude.
That's the sales
Because do you have any, like, I mean, how can you go on a mission and have any resistance to knocking on a door after that?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's tough.
So that's tough. And I was good at it. You know, I was a really good missionary, but, like, I think what made me get a lot out of my mission was, like, my parents made us pay to go, like, they didn't help us on our missions. We had to save 10 grand. $10,000 was a lot of money back then. And that's what I paid to go on my mission and take care of me while I was gone. And so, like, I was out there for all the right reasons, knocking on doors, doing all the work. But yeah, it was a great training program. Learned a lot from it.
Are you still active in the church?
Yeah, I am.
All right, let me ask you a question, because I saw this not too long ago, and I'm sure running in the circles that you run in some of the same circles I am.
Yeah.
You've heard about recently some issues in Utah with some people getting arrested.
Yeah.
And I want to say the Attorney General of the state of Utah said Salt Lake City is ground zero for Ponzi schemes.
It is.
My question is, right, as a member of that church, why?
Why? You know, I don't think it's well, I guess you'd say it has something to do with the church. In the church, we teach that there's this, like, strive for perfection type mentality, right? And so because of it, a lot of people take on this entrepreneurial personification, right? And so they're very ambitious. And as you know, when ambition is mixed with any little bit of, like, greed, it can turn south quick. And on top of that, Utah. So I'm not from Utah. I've lived in Utah a couple different times, and obviously it's a high LDS population. You know, there's this, like, leverage that starts happening of trust because, hey, you're a member, I'm a member.
We're all a member,
right? Like, you can trust me because we believe in the same things, right? And, you know, and it's not even necessarily said, but maybe even implied, right? Like guys, and you can really see the guys that have gotten in trouble, that have ran these big Ponzi schemes. In fact, I had a business partner. This is interesting. I haven't talked about this, I don't think, ever on a podcast. I had a business, and from my first business, we ended up losing everything, going bankrupt and everything like that. He went on to run a $26 million Ponzi scheme. And he took a lot of my friends and family and personal connections that I had made with him, took their money, including me. And so, like, that that little Ponzi thing is very close to home. Like I've seen it happen
it's terrible.
in real time, like what path those guys go down. And essentially usually Ponzi schemes never start off as Ponzi schemes.
No, they're always good intentioned.
Yeah. Ponzi schemes happen when somebody will not own the truth, right? Like they say, hey, we're going to get you a guaranteed 15% return. And then maybe it returned negative money. And instead of owning the fact that it returned negative money, and it was a legit investment, right? And it lost money or whatever else.
Yeah.
Instead of owning that, they say, no, it returned 15%. Where do they get that 15%? They go and they take it from somebody else to give it to them, right? And so I've seen, like I said, several of these go and become what they've become, as we've seen recently.
Well, that's how it's like in real estate, man. That's how I know instantly, like a flipper's in trouble. When it's like, well, I'm going to refi this house and pull out the equity to then cover finish the repairs on this one. You're like, oh, dude, you got to look at those projects as singular, insulated things. And when you start pulling dollars out of one to chase another one, the whole thing is going to tumble. And I've taken some big losses on investments that went like that.
Yeah. As a believer, in the scriptures, it talks about the truth shall set you free.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you own the truth, good or bad, you live free.
You don't have to remember as much.
Yeah, you don't got to remember as much and whatnot. And so, so when guys don't own the truth, then this kind of crazy stuff happens. Yeah. And again, because that population is a high level of believers and high trusting people, they're easily duped. And
well, it's probably of all of the, if you call it American type religions, where Baptist, Catholic, whatever, blah blah. Where a lot of the people go to this church or that church. I would say that's the most connected, of families and whatnot. Yeah. They all know each other. They go to each other's houses. They hang out. I mean, they're very interconnected.
Do you look at,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you anybody.
Recent statistics just came out, right? Like Utah is very strong in family, right? Yeah. 76% of families stay married. They got a lot of really good things going on in Utah. But the negative things basically you get polar opposites. Wherever you have extremely good, you're going to have some pretty gnarly things that are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bad combination of trust and just I trust you.
And
it's such a tough thing, man.
Yeah. And again, you have all these incredibly trained salespeople, right? Like all these guys have learned the art of persuasion. Right?
Oh man, they spent 2 years learning how to do this.
2 years, right? This whole population, and so for all the there's still a lot of good. Like Utah is ground zero also for entrepreneurship. Like if you go up there, man, I never wanted to launch a business in Utah because it's going to be immediately stolen, right? Like people it's highly competitive.
Yeah, and dude, it's getting to the point now where it's like, okay, where's this dude from? Utah? Yeah, I'm out. it's like proceed with caution.
It's so funny. People come up to me that follow me on Instagram, like, "Oh, you're from Utah again?" No, dude.
No. Washington.
Washington State, dude. Come on, man. Come on.
No, that's where I'm from. All right, so you spend 2 years on your mission. You learn how to close like a mother trucker. And then what do you do with that skills when you get it? Because after the mission, did you go to college right away?
So when I get home, I do the number one close, which is I get married. I married my high school sweetheart 2.5 months after I got home off my mission.
Right away.
Yeah, right away. And
that's also a very Mormon thing to do, I think.
Yes and no. Like I think Mormons get married fast, but I got married faster, right? Like I've been very goal driven from a very early age. I still have this yellow piece of paper that I wrote my 2 goals on when I was like 6 years old.
What were they?
Win a state championship and get married in the temple. Like those were that
was the goals.
That was it, man. I still have it. It's in my safe. And it drove me a lot with sports and like
either way, you're getting a ring. Yeah. See what I did there?
I like it. Got them both, and I accomplished them both. And like it was for me, I've always been like I saw the way that I was raised and how good it was to have family values, and I wanted that for myself.
Yeah.
And so got married, went to college. I was studying to be a doctor. While I was doing that,
where'd you go to school?
BYU.
Okay. So
just typical Mormon story, Yeah. But while I was doing that, I was paying for school, paying to be married, like living. I didn't have anyone support me. And so I got introduced to door-to-door sales and went and did this summer program. First year I go out, sell for three months and I make $65,000. I'm like, ooh.
What were you selling?
Pest control contracts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Orkin Pest Control out in North Carolina. Me and my wife move out there. We stay there for the summer and make this great money. I'm like, oh, this is good. Then I keep going to school. Next summer, I make 6 figures. I'm like, man, this is good.
Same deal with Orkin?
No, I was selling alarm systems the next year.
So you were just free aging like crazy.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so what was the best conversation you ever had with one of your bosses to try to get you to stay when you just were up and quitting after 3 months?
So like I was never like up and quitting. I was always looking for more ambition. Like I would have stayed.
No, I don't say up and quitting like a bad thing.
Right.
But you're going back to college. You can't stay in North Carolina.
Right. Well, it was, so we did these summer programs. It was expected.
They knew you were there for 9
You were
days.
there for 3 months, right? That's the way that dude, you would not believe. So these Utah door-to-door programs, like they're all centered in Utah and they contract with these different companies.
Because they just have this never-ending wealth of people. Oh, man.
Dude, and it is the big leagues of sales. Like there's guys, like in the height of my career in door-to-door sales, I was making $500,000 a summer. And there's
a summer.
And there's guys that make 7 figures a summer running teams and like doing all this stuff. I mean, you got a company like Vivint that has spun off 2 multi-billion-dollar IPOs. This is all based off of door-to-door sales.
Well, you probably know Sam out of Utah.
Sam Taggart,
right?
Yeah, we're homies.
So when I first met Sam, I thought he was kidding. And this is before door-to-door con. And like, I didn't realize how big door-to-door in Utah was. I didn't understand this.
It's the thing.
And he's like, oh, I'm going to start this thing called door-to-door con. And I was like, I mean, is that, I don't know if that's a good name for an event. It's like con man, door-to-door con. Like, I don't know if it's good. And dude, he's blown it up.
Crushed it.
Blown it up, killing it.
Crushed it. In fact, me and Sam, I was actually just reminiscing with, do you know who Myron Golden is?
I don't know Myron.
So Myron, one of the best guys to sell from stage or whatnot. Me and Sam and a handful of like highly successful people were all part of this program. There's only 10 of us 7 years ago. This is right when Sam was launching Door-to-Door Con. And like Myron taught us all how to sell from stage. And like, and Sam since then has just crushed it. And all these other guys have crushed it. It's been fun to watch.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you're a mercenary. You went from missionary to mercenary. Is what we did. Might be the title of this podcast.
Come on. So here's the thing. I'm a firm believer. Like you don't need high pressure sales. You actually just know how to properly identify pain and solve pain.
Sure.
Right. Like, and so, you could call me, I'm a closer, right? Like I know how to get people to do a decision, but I want to put myself in the same camp as like a slimy car salesman.
No, God, no. That's not what I meant. Look, to me, the key, especially in those fast interaction sales, like door to door is, man, it's quick and it's fast, is you've got to have a very high understanding or a natural ability to be likable.
Yep.
So I want to talk about that, right? Because obviously
you got to break preoccupation quick.
Yeah, you got to be super likable. So is that something that you just always kind of had, or is that something you studied?
I studied for sure. But I was natural at it too. Yeah. Like I've always had a really good high energy that had been able to suck people in. And so like my key knocking on doors is always like causing question, like what's going on? Who's this guy? Mm-hmm. Right. And then as soon as they question, sucking them in and getting them to like my energy.
So if you had to coach somebody on being likable, how would you say this is how you become more likable? This is what you need to do.
You need to really understand like the 4 different buying profiles, right? Like understanding that there's people that are going to be very high energy and you need to match it and be challenging to those type of people, right? Like that we call it the aggressive personality, right? Like somebody like you, I'd probably put in the camp of aggressive buying personality.
I'm aggressive.
Yeah. and so a guy like you, what I would do is I would match your energy and I would challenge you, right? Because I guarantee you respond well to challenges.
Oh, sure.
And what you want with your personality, just looking at your face, I know that you want to be challenged and I know you want quick things that make sense, like just numbers that add up, not like super complex details, but like quick, like mathematical, like, oh, that makes sense. Let's go.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
And so like understanding like the social buyer.
What are the other?
So you have the aggressive, you have the social, you have.
What's the social? You're looking to social proof that person or?
So the social buyer is somebody that is usually like the fat, funny person. Okay. And they want to do what the crowd's doing. Right. And so
I appreciate you not going fat and funny. Thank you. So I appreciate that.
Typically you can actually see it in their face. And the reason why they're fat and funny is because they like hanging around people eating food.
That's good.
They're the social person. They do what the crowd does. They want to keep up with the Joneses. They want to do things for approval from others, everything like that. And so like those are that's like highly important to them. And so like reviews and like this is what everybody else is doing, be a part of the crowd.
All the cool kids are doing it. Just give it a try. Come on, just try it.
And the cool thing is for like a social buyer, it doesn't even have to add up, right? Like if the price is $97, you'd be like, yeah, it's around $100. Let's go.
Well, you're selling status. You're not selling product.
Right. So they're not looking for things to add up necessarily. It's just like, does it feel good?
Yeah.
And so that's your social buyer. And then you have your analytical buyer, which is like one of the more difficult that most people suck at. Right. And those people, they usually have like little beady eyes, a little bit skinny of a face. They usually are in the sciences, the engineers, like those type of things. They spend a lot of time diving, thinking. And the thing is, you can close those guys same day. It's just going to take a little bit longer and a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Right. And so like everything has to add up for that person.
Yeah.
Right. Like deep dives, like pluses and minuses. You screw up one number, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so just like understanding that profile is, and then you have the grandma. The name of the profile is not coming to me, but essentially, what I liken it to is like if you're selling grandma, right? Like grandma just needs to have trust, right? Like, and so your social and aggressive buyers, your high energy. Your analytical and your grandma's your low energy. Mm-hmm. So if I'm talking to grandma, but grandma, hey,
drop it down, easy peasy.
How you doing? Have you talked to the neighbors about what's going on? No? Okay. My name's Chris. You probably heard about me. I'm in the area. I'm knocking on your door. Have you been able to see what's going on? No, I don't know what's going on. Grandma responds really good to guarantees. And to have a grandma personality, again, for whatever reason, it's not coming to me. It's not grandma, but I best say it with grandma. You could be you could be a young grandma type personality, right? Like somebody that's a little bit more timid. Yeah. Right. Like is unsure.
Needs you to hold that hand. They're looking for reassurance.
They need that trust, that reassurance. They need the guarantees. Right? Like more socially driven, like the social person, but way less energy. Right. And so like, if you understand those 4 different type of profiles and how to identify them, target them and whatnot, you can sell anybody.
Yeah. So it's like grandma, it's like, hey, it's okay for you to think this is a good idea.
Yes.
For analytical guy, it's what do you think? For social person, it's how does this feel to you?
Yep.
And then for the aggressive, it's I know what you're thinking already. We're doing this.
Yeah. So like an aggressive guy, I knock on your door and you come to the door and be like, hey dude, I know you're busy. You give me 30 seconds. I'll go off your door. If you don't like what I'm hearing in 30 seconds, go ahead and slam the door. Cool?
Yeah.
Right. Challenge.
Yeah.
Hit you straight. Right. Like I'm giving you a timeline that like, it makes sense. Like, dude, I can kick this guy out in 30 seconds. Yeah. I'll give him 30 seconds because he understands my personality.
So I think for what door to door is like, man, that is ninja stuff. And in our agents, being in the real estate business, agents all the time ask me like, oh, what about knocking on doors? And I have some agents that just knock on doors and they just do great. I was never a door knocker for me. I'm great on the phone, but I was never a door knocker because I was, man, like I got to have a reason to knock on that door. And sometimes in real estate, there are great reasons to knock on the door. Like for example, like I love like when you sell a house to somebody and the day before they move in, like you hit all of the neighbors and you're just like, hey, like, I just want to let you know, you're going to see a moving truck here tomorrow. I just want to make sure my clients feel very welcome. Could you walk over and just say, hi, make them feel welcome, right? Their name are Mary and Sam and they're moving in. Just if you could do that, it'd be great. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ever need real estate, let me know. And they always shut the door thinking the same thing. Man, my agent was terrible, right? They didn't do this for me. I still don't know my neighbors. This person's going out on a limb, but how important, in the door, it's easy, man. The door opens, you're there, it's showtime. Mm-hmm. So much of what we do is on the phone. And I find that pattern interrupting people on the phone is so important because the biggest mistake, and I can't believe this still happens, right? To me, the biggest mistake the salespeople make is they call you up, they call anybody up and they go, hey, is John there? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, John, it's Jones, so-and-so. How you doing today? And everybody's so programmed that you're a telemarketer, like they don't even hear anything else after that. It just shuts down. And I can't believe people still call it that.
Right. It's terrible.
So what is your best pattern interrupt to people to make them skip a beat and actually think about what you're saying before they categorize you instantly as a salesperson?
So, I mean, like I shared, like if you're an aggressive buyer, that's what I'm going to lead with. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, I'm Chris. I know you probably want me off your door. You're thinking I'm selling you something. Give me 30 seconds and you will not regret it. Boom. Yeah. Like, hit them like, what? Nobody's ever been approached with something similar to that. But also, so usually the way, like if I don't know the buyer profile or whatnot, if I knock on a door, I'm actually just facing away, looking at a binder, and I'm sitting there and waiting for them to talk.
Oh, you want them to say, can I help you first?
Yeah. Can I help you? Hey, yeah. Are you the homeowner? Okay. No. Oh, you are? Okay, cool. Is it John? Because usually I'll have like a public record.
Yeah.
Is it John? Okay. John, hey, real quick, let me show you what's going on. And I take off.
Yeah. I love that move.
And immediately if they follow me,
you got it.
Now we're through the battle zone. Now we can have a conversation. Pattern has been interrupted, right? They're wondering what's going on, whatever else. They don't follow me. Next door.
Yeah, dude. When I went to sell cars, right? When I learned, that's why I decided I didn't go sell Kirby vacuum cleaners. I went and sold cars for 90 days. And one of the first things I said was, man, when you walk up to somebody in the lot, no matter what they say, you say, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, welcome out, so-and-so, blah, blah. No matter what they say, you just say, follow me, and you turn around and walk to the dealership. And you can walk 300 yards. If you turn around at yard 100, halfway to the dealership, they'll stop. But if you get all the way to the door and open it, they'll be right behind you.
Yep.
And they don't even know why they did it.
Right.
Because they just will.
I mean, as COVID proved, everybody loves to follow.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Speaking of which, man, Robert F. Kenny got confirmed today. I did not see that one coming, man. On. My wife was beside herself happy this morning.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, that is incredible.
Big Pharma's going to get it now. I'm like, yep, let's go. It's kind of crazy. It's a wild time out there, man. It's exciting. But let's get back to you. So you're doing all of these. You're crushing. Mm-hmm. You're crushing doing, your hired gun for door to door.
So 24 years old, I'm like, I know how to do all this crap. I'm going to go do my own. I'm going to start my own business. See all these guys making millions of dollars in my eyes, right? Like, why don't I go get a piece of that?
Yeah.
So launched my first business in 2008.
Okay. Best time. Unless it was foreclosure prevention, that might not have been the best time to launch a business.
So yeah, obviously looking back, terrible time economically from a macro environment. But man, I was blind to everything. Like I was just blindly ambitious and thought I knew everything and very egotistical. Had never, like up until that point, I had no reason not to believe I wasn't going to be so successful.
You just knew it.
I just knew.
Of course.
I'm awesome.
Yeah. Love me some me.
I love me some me. And so, man, I went and I raised $1 million from my father-in-law to build this business. And I took half my dad's life savings and went and I made terrible decisions, bad partnerships, did things egotistically driven, didn't ask for help.
What was the business?
So it was a home security business.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, let's break each one of those down. So first thing, bad partner. Without giving names or throwing, why was it a bad partnership?
Not just bad partnership, but even structure of partnership, right? Like structure is so important in a partnership, like making sure the guys that are in it are in it. And second of all, who brings the money and everything else should have more control and decision-making power. Mm-hmm. None of that was true, right? Like, so I had me and 2 other business partners. We were 25. And then my father-in-law was 20%. And then my dad was like 5%, right? And so like no decision-making authority for me for bringing the money to the table.
Yeah.
My name is on everything, right? Because I got the best credit. I've got all the things. And so that's terrible. On top of that, like the only experience I had working with these guys was at a previous door-to-door company, and like we were all good, so we just thought, we're going to run a great business together.
Sounds like, so you were all, but you hired 2 more of you. You partnered with 2 more of you.
Exactly, partnered like at classic
That's
mistake. Classic mistake, right? Like you definitely don't want to work with yourself.
Yeah, if you've got if your partner is you, one of you is not required in that partnership. You better bring people to the table that have definitively different skill sets than you have.
And so, man, just so many things went wrong. paying salaries early and all kinds of crap, dude. Just
now, real quick, when you structured this partnership,
yeah,
did you also structure the exit? Did you start?
No. Like, dude, I was 24 years old. I was 24, no outside help. My dad was a school teacher. Nobody was teaching me jack about any of this stuff. It was just like, oh, you own a business? I want to own a business.
Yeah.
Like,
well, somebody out there right now is listening to this and they're thinking about starting a business. And let me tell you, if you take a partner, it's like a marriage. You better have a prenup that goes along with it. What I mean by is you need to have if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Every single thing that's going to go in dissolving this business, from you get the website to you get this and I get that, and this is how we close the bank accounts, it needs to be spelled out before you start day one.
So later in businesses, so obviously this business failed, but later in businesses, I realized, like, if I'm going to form a partnership, we actually start with less ownership and then we have like an earn out period, right? Like what I know about partners is that there is a 6-month honeymoon stage, right? And no matter how good or you think you know this person or whatnot, in 6 months, you will know everything about them to make a good decision, right? And so the way I structure like earnouts, equity earnouts, anything like that, it's always has to have a 6-month honeymoon. And then you make a decision of like where to go from there. And you have like a pre-6 month and a post-6 month like definition of the partnership, equity structure, everything like that. And that served me really well. Obviously,
Dude, I have such a great partner in our business here. And here's, again, something that's super simple and stupid, but I think is clutch in this. My partner in this business, we've been partners for 14 years.
Nice.
And outside of work functions, I can count the number of times that he and I have been out or at dinner in 14 years on 2 hands, less than 2 hands. We don't hang out as friends. We're business partners, which I think is definitely a huge success. Everybody wants to do business with their friends. Makes it very difficult. So do business with the best player you can find, not necessarily the best friend you can find.
That's right. I agree 100% with that. So I've been business partners with a guy for a long time now, and we're fantastic. And we become friends over the years, but like we're definitely not naturally, like, we don't have the same interests.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he's out riding motorbikes, I'm playing football, like whatever. But over the years, we've become really good friends and been able to hang out. But similarly, we hang out a lot more in work than we ever do outside of work.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
well, I want to talk about this because that first business failed.
It did.
So here you are, 24.
Two and a half years in.
But hang on. You lost your dad's money.
Yeah, lost it. Yeah, dude. I'll talk all about it. Yeah. So 2.5 years in, we scaled too fast, too quick. I got debtors and collections calling me off the hook. Money's gone. Right. I'm literally taking personal credit cards, going to my buddy and say, can you process this and rebate me back the cash so I can make payroll? Like, I mean, that bad. Right. And it's just that's how I'm living. I'm liquidating every asset I know to make payroll, to keep this thing alive. And I'm getting no fight or help from these other partners. Right. Like, to the point where, like, I relocated to be outside of a contractual zone so we could sell to another alarm company to be able to generate more revenue, just all kinds of crap.
That was a mess.
So yeah, dude, end up filing bankruptcy, and I have to go and I got to address it with my father-in-law. Like, dude, your money's gone. Like, 7 figures gone, right? I know I told you we're going to take that 1 and make it to 10, but it's 0. And it was like, still remember the day, very like emotional experience for me. And he didn't take it well at all. Like, he was terrible. Like, our relationship was destroyed for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And so this was January 2011 that I lose everything when I end up filing bankruptcy. Went to my dad, and he was an all-star.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, dude, he just said, Chris, I know you'll make it right.
Yeah. And
that's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear.
How long did it take you to make it right by them all?
So, over the years, so this is what I was told, like, my father-in-law was in my ear all the time and like, hey, we need a payment plan. We need legally I owed them nothing. Yeah. Right. Like, bankruptcy, it was wiped clean.
Yeah.
But I told him I was going to make it right. My father-in-law was always like, hey, I need a payment plan. I'm like, look, Carl, like, I cannot pay you off $1,000 at a time. Like I have to accumulate cash, make investments, do different things so that I can just cut you a check.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way you, when you're starting from zero, that you can pay off $1 million debt that there's no assets backing.
Yeah.
You know? And so, so over the years, what I gave them token stuff, like gave them both cars. And then I told my dad, I said, look, Dad, I'm trying to build up money. I said, invest alongside me, like do some real estate deals. I will get you involved in some real estate deals that I am certain will pay off. And so like over the years, I made my dad 7 figures in real estate.
Nice.
Did really well. And then ultimately I cut him a check plus interest for what he had gotten into.
Ah, it's a good day.
And that was fantastic.
That's a good day.
And did the same thing for my father-in-law, except for the real estate thing. Like frankly, like for my father-in-law, it was like transactional, and love him now, but like there was times that I didn't feel like I loved him. You know? Yeah. And because he made it pretty miserable.
Yeah, money's so weird, dude. And I get it. It's a huge loss, and it's hard when you take private money from people that you know,
right,
love and trust. And I had a situation where 2017 did a house flipping fund with a guy that was best man at my wedding, right? I raised all the money, shouldn't have done it. He ended up splitting town to move to Houston with the money and left me with a bunch of lawsuits and a bunch of unfinished projects. And it was a mess. And yeah, I had to make all those people whole, and it hurt. It was a lot. It was a lot of money. And it hurt, and it makes me to this day, I try not to, if you haven't lost 7 figures at least once, you're not entrepreneuring hard enough, right? It's just kind of how it is. But yeah, that risk aversion, I wish I could say that it raised it from that experience. It just didn't. I think I'm still like, if I see something I want, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That looks good. Wow. My wife is now my risk aversion. She's like, whoa, slow down. Well, I think when you go through something like that, you realize it's not as bad as what you had a nightmare about. Yeah. Right. Like every entrepreneur's nightmare or potential entrepreneur's nightmare, I lived, right? Like $2.2 million bankruptcy, car repoed, less than $1,000 in my bank account, owe money to both of my fathers. And you're still here.
Right. Like going through that is everybody's nightmare. But when I went through it, it was like a gut check, but I'm like, dude, this isn't as bad as I actually thought it would be. Yeah. Right. Like still have my God, still have my family, and still have all the experience that I had up until this point. And so if it's not that bad, should I ever fear getting back to here?
Yeah.
No. And so so I think it actually creates that, you're willing to keep going risk because you realize, and most people aren't willing to go to zero. And so they always fear zero, and it keeps them playing small.
Yeah.
And so but once you get there, then you're like, dude, this is it? Cool, man. Let's freaking go to the moon.
I'm good. I made it. I'm not dying.
I'm not dead.
Yeah. No, dude, I couldn't agree more. So so security fails.
Yeah.
And you move on to something obviously that became very successful, which was
not right away.
Not right away.
No, I immediately started another security business because I learned a lot. Yeah. And I started back with my now partner, right? Okay. So I knew who I wanted to do business with, and it was this guy. And so we both started, and we were both like fresh, and we tried to scale, and we didn't. We built like a nice little nest egg, but like nothing. And then we tried everything. Freaking dude. Anything to make a buck, I've done it. Flipped houses, cars, farms, cattle,
everything.
Dude, I had a coupon book, a search engine optimization business. Dude, if there was a way to drop ship and make a buck, I was trying it.
Yeah.
And so I came to the realization, I'm like, dude, I don't know how to grow a business. I suck. And so I actually, one of the most pivotal moments of my life is I decided to swallow my pride and go work for somebody else. And so, because I knew there was something I needed to learn. So then I spent the next 4.5 years working for some of the greatest entrepreneurs that I could find. And I moved to Utah, and I went and I worked for Todd Peterson. Do you know who Todd is?
I don't know Todd.
One of the greatest that will ever do the game. And so Todd is the founder of Vivint.
Obviously know what Vivint is. Yeah. I have Vivint at my house, I think.
2 multi-billion-dollar IPOs. And I had the opportunity to sit down, study that guy, and take notes. And during that time, I made really good money, But
let's talk about that real quick. Cause I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make as well, is they think those doors are closed to them.
Right.
They don't understand how to get in somewhere where it's like, listen, I just want to watch. Right. I just want to learn. Like, I'm going to do my job, right, but in the spare time, help me. How do you have that conversation with somebody of that?
So it wasn't even necessarily that, but I would just put myself in positions to like be in the room, right? Like whether it was in management meetings or whatever else, or like just networking, like inside the company to like learn and grow. Like, why is he doing this? What was the decision-making process? Like all that thing. People love people that are willing to learn, right? Like, yeah. And so I worked for 3 different businesses over 4.5 years, and each very intentional. I was taking notes, designing what I was going to do next. And so ultimately at the end of 2016, I walked away at top of my game. I was making $500,000 a year, had like the dream job. And I'm like, all right, it's ready. I'm ready to go figure out what I want to do next. And then during this time, I've spent a lot of money on personal development, coaches, masterminds, everything like that. And ultimately in 2017, so I went after a couple big things and failed actually. Like I chased this magic generator thing. I call it magic because it never came to fruition, but we sold $2 billion worth of contracts in 6 months.
Whoa.
It was wild.
And didn't fulfill anything. Couldn't fulfill anything.
And made $0.
Oh.
Yeah. And
that is magic.
Yeah, that was magic. That was magic.
Well, that's voodoo generators. That's not voodoo terrible. Stuff. It's not good.
But what I learned from that experience was it wasn't the generator. So I networked to like the highest level and grew so fast during those 6 months. And I realized it wasn't the generator that made me do it. It was my belief in the generator. And I'm like, man, if I can have this much belief in something that actually works, life will be incredible.
Yeah, you'll kill it.
And so like that was like a big aha moment. I go and I take an online drop shipping course to learn Facebook marketing that summer of 2017. And I came to this realization, holy crap, Facebook marketing is online door knocking.
Yeah.
And I like up until that point, it never made sense, right? It just clicked. My biggest pain point in knocking doors is self-replication. I couldn't replicate myself across 10,000 doors at one point. Mm-hmm. Online, I could replicate 10,000 screens at one time. Mm-hmm. So figured that out, launched my company fall of 2017 out of my garage, and just everything dialed in, like our exact strategy, exactly how we're going to do it. I'm road mapping 5 years. I got this perfect map. I'm like, okay, in 5 years, we're going to have 500 employees, $1 million. This is exactly what the 500 employee structure is going to look like. This is how we're going to get there. Like I had it all dialed in. Yeah. This is our culture, our core values, our mission. What I call the 8 pillars for growth, I had completely dialed in. And so we launched on my garage, fall of 2017, no money, no outside cash. Year 1, we do 16 million. Year 2, we do 32. Year 3, we do 34. Year 4, we do 89. Year 5, we do 233 million. And
so you were all from Facebook ads, booking appointments you were sending salesmen out to.
And initially, sending salesmen sales, and this is like one of the miracles that happened. Initially, it was that. Fall of 2019, I get this bright idea, like we should start selling over Zoom.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
We should start selling over Zoom. So we start that. By the time COVID hits, I got a 25-person sales floor already built. We scale that thing to 300 people.
All on Zoom.
All on Zoom. And so I build this 1,100 person organization. We're the 6th fastest growing company in the nation, all privately held, and doesn't have any company, any industry. Like we are just, and we're making 24% net margin.
And here comes private equity.
Private equity.
Knock, knock, knock. Yeah.
So meanwhile, during that same time, I was consulting another business, and I told them I would only do it for equity. I had about 10% equity in this business. 3 years, I give them the same roadmap that I built my business off of. They build and sell for $120 million in 3 years.
Not bad.
Not bad. So I experienced these 2 different, one as the founder, creator, and the other one as a consultant equity shareholder. So I have 2 9-figure exits in a 5-year period. And it was a phenomenal ride.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now that this is obviously, look, you don't have to do anything at this point if you don't want to. So it's so funny. Somebody asked me like, what's your definition of success? And it's like, dude, I just don't want to have to be anywhere. Like, I just want to go only where I want to go and not have to be anywhere. And I think you're already there. So obviously you're doing exactly what you want to do. So what are you doing now?
Yeah. So we're running Next Level Pros, which is it's a training and coaching platform. So I have like the most incredible team I have. So I have these 8 pillars that we help companies use to scale, to grow, right? The majority of our clients are home service, home product, but it applies to any industry. I got medical professionals, I got restaurants, I got all different type of business owners in this platform. And the cool thing is, like, I've created this program where I have coaches that come in, they implement, I teach, we do workshops, everything like that. But like, I've like attracted some of the most incredible coaches in the world. I have a 3-time Olympic gold medalist on my team that teaches mindset. He's a 400-meter Olympic gold medalist.
That's awesome.
Like just absolute studs across the board. Like my magic and my like ability to like grow teams and like build culture is transforming over into this. And like, it just gives me a ton of purpose. Like we have a 5-year roadmap to get to where our community is generating an additional, from where they come in to where they're at in our community, additional $125 billion a year. And that's our goal. That's our goal. So we call it Impact 125. It's on my wrist. Our mission is designing lives that impact the world. I truly believe that the best way to change the world is through entrepreneurship.
That's interesting you say that, because one of the things that we're big on here is purpose-driven business. We always try to attach our business to different causes and build in that giving as part of our business model. Is that something you always
100%. So like so we have 2 KPIs that we track within our community: how much additional revenue we're generating and how many hours of community service that they give as a organization. So we have a goal of 3 million hours a year to give within the Next Level community.
Dude, that's such a bigger challenge, man, because the money's easy.
Right.
It's the hours that are hard.
Absolutely.
Dude, it is.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
And so like the way I've always built, like not always, but when I built on purpose and when I've had success building organizations, it's always when I focus on developing the employees whole human. Mm-hmm. Physically, economically, their associations, their spirituality. Like people don't understand that. Like most employers are like, hey, get them a paycheck, make sure they're taken care of that way. Like, good. No, help them lose weight, help them be a better father, mother, better contributor to society, help them grow closer to God. And they will never, ever want to leave you because they're getting paid so many different ways, and they will take care of your customer.
I had Cameron Hurled on here. He wrote Vivid Vision. Brilliant guy on here not too long ago. And he was talking about the number one KPI he looks at is employee, not sales, not customer satisfaction, nothing, employee satisfaction.
100%.
He says that is my number one metric we look at, because if your employees are super happy and they love you, they will go to the end of the earth for your clients.
Absolutely.
And I was like, whoa. And so many people think of that differently. I mean, how many times have, you go to some random place and there's a problem, and then the manager, they don't back their people at all. They just, the Karens of the world want to raise, a ruckus.
So think about this. The way you do business with your end user and the way that you do business with your employer, the exact same way. If you think you're going to solve things with price with your customer, right? You're so terribly wrong. If you think you're going to solve something with pay, you're so wrong. Right? Like those are ancillary aspects to everything that you do. Like solve their physical problems, solve their relationship problems, solve their way that they're connected with God, and you will have a loyal sales force.
Well, because you create value.
Right?
The same thing as you
and the same thing with your end user, yeah. Right? Like it's never about the dollars, ever, ever, ever. That is just a derivative. And sure, it has to be somewhere in line, but like that, and so many business owners make that mistake on their offer to their customers. They make it all about price. They try selling better by lowering their price or whatever else, instead of bringing value. Same thing with your.
Well, Neil Patel posted something I thought was really interesting not too long ago as well. But it was talking about it was a chart, and it was showing the most searched words on the internet. And up until 2017, when you're attaching it to any product or service, the most searched adjective was free. Right. And it was really high. And down here was best, and it was really low. And in 2017, for some reason, those lines converged.
Interesting.
And split. And now best is so much higher than free, and free continues to go down. So people stop searching for free this. They're searching for what is the best this.
Yeah.
Which tells me that as a society, we're always looking for the best value.
Absolutely.
And best equals value. All right, one more question. If you could go back and talk to your 23-year-old self and you could give yourself one piece of advice, what is it?
You know, I wouldn't change my path whatsoever. And you know, so one, I just say, hey, keep going. When times are tough, you're going to be fine. But if I could go back to just any random old 23-year-old, it's like, look, you're only in competition with yourself. Find your path and don't compare yourself to anyone else. Be your best version of you, and you will accomplish incredible things.
See, I got to tell you, I never thought about it. It's odd that I never thought about it until today. But dude, the number one skill that I think is going out the window with these young kids is the ability to connect personally with somebody individually, personally. And look at the Mormon church, dude. They're teaching them 2 years at a time exactly how to do that. And that is a skill that I think will take people further than ever. So if you're not Mormon, go knock a door. Learn how to talk to somebody. If they want to find you, Chris, how do they find you?
You know, the best way, if you have any questions about anything, is it right if I drop my phone number?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you can just go ahead and text me, 509-374-7554. You can just shoot me a text, ask me any questions about things that we've talked about, or if you're looking at scaling your business or whatnot. You can also find me on Instagram, Chris Lee QB.
Yep, love it. Okay, cool. Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
And look, dude, if you're listening to this, I think the lessons you should take away from it are, number one, risk is what makes the world go round. And it's not always going to go your way. And if it doesn't go your way, you've got to have the cojones or the fortitude or whatever it is to keep going and try something different. And if you're going to bet on something, I mean, we're in Vegas, man. Bet on yourself. Looks like Chris did that and it worked out pretty well. We'll see you next week. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Escaping the Drift. Hope you got a bunch out of it, or at least as much as I did out of it. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the show, you can always go over to escapingthedrift.com. You can join our mailing list. But do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, throw up that 5-star review, give us a share, do something, man. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you at the next episode.